All right, what's going on there, Sky Masters? DJ Krios here, and today we're going to be talking about building in Blender for No Man's Sky. Now, if you haven't gone over to the Nexus mods and watched Charlie's Banks videos, he has 4 videos, and plus he has a preset pack. You need to go back over there and watch those videos maybe a couple times and play around with the Blender program and his presets, mess a few things up, and then come back to me and we could start off here, because you need to at least have that all set up or this is not going to make much sense to you. So with that being said, I will carry on a little bit further. We just mentioned something about presets. I think this is kind of important because you're going to want to well me, I think it's a lot easier if you save a lot of presets, as you know, like you have a different diameter circles, half circles, quarter circles, triangles, all that good stuff. Plus you know, if you build like little pieces, you can save them as a preset and use them modularly later on if you want to. So in your user file, so not where you downloaded No Man's Sky, but in your users, you'll see a little folder down here called No Man's Sky Base Builder. In here is your presets. So this is where the presets will be. I have a couple different folders depending on which kind of project that I'm doing. This is my base presets folder right now, and this is where I save all of my finished bases. I do have another folder that has like all my little shapes and things like that, and I will switch it out depending on what I am doing, because if you have all of them in there at once, I have hundreds of them. I don't want to see 100 presets inside of Blender and be confused and take a long time to find something. So I have made different folders. So I will actually be giving some of these presets away, and yeah, so now let's move on. We're going to go into our save editor and grab a base. And you can also go into Blender as it is right now and open it up and start playing with it and save presets. But sometimes, depending on if you highlight a certain thing, I think sometimes it will give you kind of an error message. So, and I'm not sure what that is that I've highlighted and it does, but for some reason, if I'm in here with this, it seems to work more. So even if I'm just going to save a preset, it's better just to kind of do it with a No Man's Sky. I don't know, like whatever their you know, protocol coding is. If I said that wrong, I'm not a Blender user. I'm not really good at this, so my terminology and everything else is going to be horrible. If you are a Blender user, you're just going to just tear me up. And I have a lot of questions for you if you are a good Blender user. So there's some things I need to figure out with like rendering speeds and stuff. So let's go in here in our JSON file. Obviously, you should have gone this far. If you have not been this far, go back, turn around now, because you're going to mess something up. Okay. I am in a big system right now where we have a lot of people in here, so these are not all my bases. I can't even build 30 bases anymore because I max them out in about 5 or 6. I think I have 5 in this one. Let me see. Let me Control A this, and yes, that is one of mine. Green haze. Now we're getting into you know, Zootex bases and stuff like that. So this, whatever your system you're at, this is the files that come up there. Everybody else's bases are in here. So with that being said, if you go to a portal and stop there and come back into here, you will not even see all this. You'll see what's in that portal location. Yeah, that's kind of a I'm not going to touch on that anymore. All right, so we're going to go to number 5 here, my last base, and we are going to Control A. Oh, get out of that. Yeah, I thought I messed something up, so I went over here and clicked any of these. If it would have changed something, it would have asked me if I wanted to save it, and I would have hit no. So I thought maybe I made a mistake. So let's go to 5, Control A, Control C. Let's come back over into Blender. Now, I've watched his videos a long time ago, and I watched the first one recently. I know he talks about these XYZs, but in that first video, for some reason, he takes this and he pulls it all the way down, and it gets rid of this. I don't like that being saved as your user default, because he shows you how to do that user default in the file, and come down here and save startup file, save user preferences. I would keep it like this and highlight this little box and then save it, because I like to see this XYZ stuff as long as everything over here. I don't really like to see this stuff too much because I'm building big and I don't need to keep track of 1,000 parts. I want to know where my base computer is at, and that's about it. So with that being said, anything else I want to talk about in here? This is the startup program here. You just get this stupid little box, and all this doesn't mean anything. The middle button of your mouse spins from your viewpoint, or from whatever they call this, the gimbal, or I don't know. Like I said, my terminology isn't that great. I don't use Blender. I just started. I build No Man's Sky. I'm actually getting a little bit better with it and trying some other stuff, but that's not what this video is about. So the middle button in your mouse turns everything. Another thing that I just kind of learned about is if you hold shift and touch the middle button in your mouse, it kind of slides the whole project around. This is really good if you have a big project going on and you want to slide into a tight little area to do some fine tuning. You can use this shift to move everything around and then turn this and actually get yourself right into a position without having to dissect your building or explode it and stuff like that, because sometimes you can't get it to snap back properly, especially in the beginning. All right. So with that being said on this, there's also, before we go anywhere else, YouTube, how to make Blender a little more friendly for well, YouTube, how to make Blender render faster, because there's a lot of things that we are rendering in the program that probably aren't needed, and I haven't really touched or made this better. So if there's anybody out there that knows what I'm kind of talking about here in just a second, and that can elaborate on this and help me, that'd be awesome. Because Blender and No Man's Sky, we only need to, what do we need, like a part, a part number, I guess, and a location, XYZ, and a color. That's all the information we need: vector, color, and part. So I think Blender is actually working at a whole bunch of other things when it's rendering a No Man's Sky build, and it's taken forever. I feel like it could be like really quick if it's like that, because I've actually experimented with like blowing up a whole bunch of lights. I can do it quickly in here and then export it into No Man's Sky and go see it in No Man's Sky, and then try to come back and import it into Blender, and it will take forever rendering and it will just hang up. I feel like it just stops, and my computer specs aren't bad. I mean, I'm at 8700K with dual 1080s, so it's you know, I got 32 gigs of RAM. I don't feel like I should be hanging up on a No Man's Sky build like that. So if anybody out there knows what I'm talking about and how to optimize that, that would be super cool. Because some of these projects, I know it should be able to open them back up, and it's just not opening them. So on from that, yeah, try to see what you can do with that. Now let's go ahead and import this in here. It's going to take a minute. I don't know which build this is. I think this is the Funhouse build. So this is going to take a minute. Not too long. You'll know if it starts really slowing down and just like almost stopping. It's like I don't know. I've just noticed if it hasn't loaded in about 5 minutes, it just doesn't seem to want to load. I've actually like left and gone back to the store and come back home like hours later, and it's just a, you know, a No Man's Sky build. It shouldn't be all crazy like that. This was already loaded, so this is pretty big and it loads pretty fast. If there's a problem, you know, then that's tough, man. You'll have to go into the game and actually just like either erase pieces manually in the game until you slim it down, or just erase the whole damn thing and start over. So here we are, hitting the center button, moving around. Shift button slides it in and over. That's kind of cool for, like, you know, we want to get into certain areas and come drop down in here. Like I blew up a whole bunch of lights and I had to come in here and delete them. So that's, I had to fix it, because the problem that I explained to you just a minute ago happened to me on this base, is why I kind of brought it up. Okay, so one thing to highlight things, hit C. We can hit C and you get this little thing, and the scroll wheel in the middle opens and closes it. We can highlight certain items. Okay, we're highlighted all this. Now watch what happens. Go over here. my manipulator button just went away. I can't move this up and down or do anything with it now. What happened? Oh my goodness. All right, this is what happened. And this is the why I said something about the base thing, the base flag here. We can go zoom in on this base flag, get rid of this little guy, doesn't really matter. Highlight the base flag and come over to the right hand side over here. You see where it says base flag? Go ahead and turn that off. Base flag, turn that one off. Okay, so now the base flag is not there. I can come back and highlight everything, and I don't accidentally highlight the base flag. The base flag cannot be manipulated or moved. It's kind of a rule in No Man's Sky, and it's a rule within this when you import it in here. So if you get rid of that base flag, the view of it, you don't have the chance of messing up and accidentally highlighting that, and it causes other problems too. So sometimes you need to see it to orientate and things like that. I forget which is up and down, so you can turn it back on and see it. But I wouldn't like to mess with it at all. Okay. All right. So now that we have everything highlighted here, what's one of my sauce buttons here is to explode and implode. If you hold S while everything is highlighted and drag your mouse around, we can explode it and we can implode it. Pretty neat, right? Cool. This can come in real handy in some certain situations. You know, I'm just giving you methods. I'm not teaching you how to do anything. I'm just going to show you the methods that I use to build what I build. I'm not going to show you how to build what I build. I want to show you the methods so you come up with something crazy. I want to do this out there. Most artists probably don't like to give up their secrets and everything else, but I think I don't think they're secrets. I want to see what everybody else comes up with, man. Anyway, so the S button there is like that. We can explode, implode. And when you're doing this, and let's say we're way out here and we're like, oh my God, how do I get back to where I was at? If you hit the right click button on your mouse, it'll always take you back. Okay. So I'm pulling this all the way out here. I actually grabbed the wrong piece, right click before you undo any of the other buttons, you know, just oops, you know. You're on this one, you pulled it out, right click, it goes back. So, S explodes, C highlights, right click selects. Now, if you want to multiple select, say we wanted to come in here and, well, we could do it like this too. Like, see how that's selected up here? If we start selecting up here now, we have this still selected down here, right? We don't want that. So if you're going to go touch one thing and go to another spot of your project, make sure you touch this spot over here and then start highlighting, or you're going to start messing things up. Now, if you do mess things up, you can come up over here to the left-hand top side into Tools, and you see History right here, and you can hit Undo. That's always nice. Okay. So that being said, we've highlighted this, we've moved that around. I can hit the right button, it snaps back, whatever. We're just going to tear this base up and do some crazy stuff with it. I moved it over there. Okay, so let's say we want to get a little more intricate, and let's say, okay, I don't like these little red stairs, man. Let's get rid of these. How are we going to do that? And so let's say I click on this one, click on that stair, and if I hold Shift, click on that one, I can click on that one, I can click on this one. I can also zoom in and slide down here and get a little bit better and say, okay, now I need this one and this one and this one. I can slide it over with a Shift button as I'm doing this, pick this one, pick that one, and then we can go ahead and hit delete or move. We can move them all. Hold on, let me multi-select some of them again. Select, select, select. Okay, and now I can move all these ones over. Okay, and do whatever, or you know, we multi-selected, okay? And they can go back, or you do whatever. You can put them back in there. Who cares? Who knows? I don't know. I'm just showing you what to do. I don't know what you're going to do with these knowledge, but go for it. You can also see that I had, okay, so there's that. Let's say we're over here. Let's say, so that's C. Then we have select. We had the Shift and select for multiple selections. Now we have Alt-D. And I've duplicated this. You see that we're over here. Now I can hit Alt-D again. I can duplicate it. I can duplicate it. This really comes in handy if you have some things. This will make building super quick for you. That Alt-D I use all the time, man. It's my secret weapon. Okay, so we covered multi-selecting, we covered the S, we covered the highlights. Okay, so what's next here? Snapping. I know he shows you some snapping techniques, and he goes through this too. But like, let's say, so one of my techniques in the caves, I use lights to map out the caves. So we're not going to see terrain, but we would see like a thing of lights in here. You'd be organized, and obviously you would know what you're doing. And just say this box over here represents a plant that I wanted to snap to the wall. Okay, so this light's on the wall. Whatever you touch first is the master. That's what you're going to snap to. Whatever. All right, so this is the master right here, this light bulb. And I'm going to hit shift and select this one next. And I'm going to snap this box over to that light bulb. I'm going to come over here and hit the snap button right here. Boom. It's been snapped. All right, now you can move and up and down. Okay, so now we're going to talk about this little section down here. All right. We got up and down movement, left and right. You can always hit the right click to go back to where you're at. I can't stress that enough. Next one is rotation. Now we can rotate it. Now notice I told you about this section over here and having this the object highlighted. When I'm moving this, you can see that I'm getting an XYZ access over here. I can also go in here and type this in manually. Say I want 45-degree angles. I can have a 45-degree angle. Super important typing this in. I know Charlie covered that, but I wanted to just kind of touch on that one more time. That's why I really like having this over there. Okay, so we got rotation covered. We got the XYZ, up, down, left, right, and spatial. And let's talk about global. This is a little bit tough. We're going to talk about that in just a second. I'm going to show something else to be a little bit better for that. For right now, let's do a little something crazy. I'm going to show you the secret sauce button over here. Okay, so let's go ahead and just highlight everything in here. And let's go over here. Let's see this little button right here. It says objects. We're going to open up objects, and there's some really secret sauce stuff that's going on in this transform and mirror. We've talked about some of the transform stuff already. See, you see it that scale is already S. So when we held S, it was scaling. I call that imploding and exploding. That's my technical term for that, but I guess that's called scale, right? I just learned something too. Okay, and then we have to sphere. So that's Shift Alt S. Or you can come in here and hit that, and look at that. Boom. It just turned it into this little ball. Wicked, right? And then we could squeeze that back down if we wanted to. And then now we got this crazy little ball. Also, we have in here, you can see that there's a push and pull. This gets really crazy for, like, I don't know, just make a box and push and pull it and see what happens. You'll figure it out. We can do that actually right now, but it does kind of like an implode, but it's a little bit different. It doesn't really, you can't see what it's doing with this project right here, but it's definitely a secret sauce, and play with that. Like I said, I'm just showing you where the tools are at to use them. So that's push and pull, and the next one is shear. And I think that has to do with where this, see this little guy right here that I'm moving? This kind of like, I don't know, but it's like a weird pivot point or something like that. I don't even know, man. I'm not exactly sure. Someone tell me what that is. But the shearing and the bending will depend on where this is at. Okay, so if you go back into objects, you can see it said bend or Shift W. So I like to hit Shift W and watch this. Okay, so we're gonna hit Shift W and start doing this. Now it's gonna, you see how it's kind of tied to that little crosshair point. And we can pull this out. We can actually pull it all the way around and do it, make it touch itself. Now we got this crazy, I don't know what the hell it is. And it's going to depend, like, depending on where you're at with this thingy right here, it's going to depend on how this bends. I don't know the rhyme or reason to this. All I do is I experiment. I don't like this. I'll come back. I'll move it over here. I'll hit Shift W and do it again. I'm like, okay, whoa, this is crazy bending. This is where stuff is getting really, really crazy right here, and I can't wait to see what other people do with this. So let's go back into transform. We're just playing now. We're going to go right back into a sphere. And we got like this little ring looking crazy thing. I don't even know. So that kind of like points some of that out. Let's go ahead and delete this all. We're going to delete it. All right, we're going to come back over here and zoom in onto our little pad down here. Am I upside down? I probably am. Okay. All right, so we're back at our little pad here. And let's go ahead and grab a concrete floor. Spin that around. Now we're going to talk about some stuff down here. All right, so we've got our concrete floor. And let's highlight everything. All right, see the last thing that's highlighted here? See, some of them are orange and some of them are yellow. I think the yellow one is your, what is it called? It's called the median point. Okay, so so right now, if we're on left and right, let's go over here and hit your pivot here, rotate, I mean, and we can change the way we rotate it. Right now it's on global, and it's just going to spin from kind of like the median, I think global, and depending on where you're at, it'd probably make a difference. But if we go to view, it's going to spin a little bit different. Now we're spinning from wherever my view is at, so it's skewed. We can also go local, and it's going to spin each piece individually, depending on which ones we're touching. Goodness. Not local. Oh, hold up a second. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Keep this on global. Actually, we're talking about pivoting right now. So this is actually right in here. I apologize for that. So, so bounding box. So this is a pivoting point. It's usually on bounding box, and that's going to pivot in the middle. Okay. So I can have an active element, which will be that yellow thing that I was just talking about. So now I'm going to pivot from that point. And I think if you wanted to pivot from the other point, you would pick that one first and highlight it, and then pivot from this way. Now that is some serious knowledge right there that I just dropped on you. It's up to you to figure out what to do with that. Okay. Now let's take the same floor piece right here, and we're going back into normal. We put this back onto bounding box, and we have this at global. Actually, let's just delete it, or we're going to go into show you something else that has to do with this right now. I had my lessons crossed up here. Drop another line over here. I'm just doing this very crude, okay? Normally I would make this exact, but I'm not going to do it. I would go over to our XYZs and fix everything properly. All right, but I'm not doing that here. I'm surprised that I'm even doing what I'm doing right now. I'm going to raise this up a little bit with the rotate, grab this over here, come back up with it. Okay, so now we've got this basic looking little thing here. I'm going to show you how to do like secret sauce here, okay? So let's hit Alt-D, grab it by this, and spin it slightly. Alt-D, duplicate it, spin it. Alt-D, duplicate it, spin it. Highlight this all again because I don't like doing one at a time. It's all about saving time. That's why we're using this program, right? Alt-D, move it. This is very crude. It's not going to come out looking very good because I didn't come over to the XYZs and make everything a little 45 degrees or whatever the hell I wanted. So this is where we're at. And it doesn't really matter about doubling up. Normally you would want not to want to double up because you only get a certain amount of pieces per build. So that what I just did was kind of stupid. You don't really want to do that. Be careful with your piece count. I'm just showing you how to make the little saucer here. Let's go into another trick with what's down here. Okay, so globally, yeah, hold on one second. Let's delete this stuff in the middle. Just to show you, give you a little cool demonstration of something here. Boom. Okay, so now we have this little ring left, and because I didn't do it right, you can see they don't match up right. And hell, even if you did, when you do it right, sometimes it doesn't seem to want to match up. Okay, so now go back to here. globally, move up and down, left and right. You already know that one, right? So what if we go to view and let's go into some spinning stuff. So spinning from view, that's normal. Let's go to gimbal, see what happens. It gimbals. I know there's some ones where it gets really crazy. Local is going to be weird. Now you're into some weird stuff, and depending on which axis you're turning. Yep. What does this one do? That one, we did that one. We did the blue one. Did we do the red one yet? Okay, yeah, see that? Oh yeah. I mean, you know, there's some endless possibilities going on here, folks. I can't tell you exactly what to do with this knowledge, but I'm gonna drop it onto you. No. So, but you want to add to this, you need to make sure that you're always going back to global and things like that. And if you don't like what you have, you can always hit the right click button if you haven't made the dedication to doing it, or you can always go up to tools and go to history and undo. So I think I've covered some of that, and just for the duplication techniques, just to kind of so you guys can kind of get a gist of that. Let's go back into the No Man's Sky, drop it down here. Let's pick a main room. We are just going to build a everybody loved the DNA, the squid DNA that I did, and it was like pretty much really super easy. I'm going to do a quick version. Like I said, I'm not going to worry about XYZs and fixing everything properly like I did in the other one, but a little ball. Let's Alt D. Let's group a couple together. Alt D, group a couple together. Highlight all of these, turn them yellow. Alt D this, move these ones over. We can turn these ones red. When you turn these a different color, they'll all turn color, but whatever color you pick will go over into the game, and when you re-import them back into here, the colors will be proper. I don't know why it does it like this, but anyway, you know, we can do all this, little green, pull this out, let's go purple, let's grab one of these and Alt D that, because I know that it's going to be lined up perfectly straight when I pull it over here. I don't have to worry about lining anything up. And let's just highlight all of these and go Alt D again, and let's drop this down and then pivot with a rotation. Now usually I'd come over here and get it exact, but like I said, I'm not doing that right now. We're just going to go quick. I'm going to drop this down, rotate. And since we want to save time, let's highlight it all again. Alt D, drop down, rotate, highlight again, Alt D, hit this, click it back over to the drop down, go back over to you know, your rotate, and spin it back into, you know, kind of place. You know, it's pretty rough and crude, but you're kind of getting the gist of what I'm talking about. We're going to pull it down. We're going to pull this back over again. And yada, yada, yada. You can keep on going. It's going to get easier and super huge really quick and out of control. So, that being said, I think that these are some really cool things to kind of get you going into this. Save you a lot of time and a lot of trouble, I think, with the base flag, making sure it's not there, because we'd already highlighted it and stuff. Speaking of that, let's highlight this again, and let's take it up, because what's up and what's down right now, that says that that's up. So that should be, but let's go back over and find our base flag over in the right. It's usually somewhere in the top, first couple of scrolls. Sometimes it's not the first thing. Sometimes it's, you know, the 20th or the 30th, but it'll be in there. Let's turn that back on. Okay, and we can see that that is up indeed. If we can turn that back off and come back over here and look at this, and we can set it to be facing, growing right out of the ground. I'll zoom in here and I'll make sure it's almost at the ground. We'll drop that thing down, and it is at the ground level right now. And let's put a view over here. And let's say we want to give this some life and make it look like it's blowing in the wind. Let's use that Shift W technique. Well, that's not what we want, so let's place the this little red thing around somewhere else and hit Shift W. That's not what we want either. Let's place it right here. Nope, too much. Over here. Nope. Like I said, this is kind of a hit or miss with me. I really don't. Oh, there we go. So we got like kind of a weird, like it's blowing off, you know, give it more life. It's more organic now. You know, kind of neat, you know. We can actually probably highlight different pieces of this and almost maybe even get it to wrap back around onto itself, you know. It's possible. You have to play around with it, you know. And then let's say you just want to go crazy and transform this into something totally different. Let's bend this around like weird or something like that. We can go back into object, go into transform. Let's go to sphere. You know, try to turn it into a sphere, so you can make a dome or something like that. You know, save it as a preset. Go at it. Go crazy. I think that's it, man. As far as the first video here, I can come up with. I didn't really plan this out. I'm just kind of winging it and getting some information out there because I can't wait to see what people are going to do with this. Please go check out Charlie Banks's videos first before you even try to tackle this. I think you need to go through that. I know how it's time consuming, but this is time consuming. I'll try to save you as much as time as I can, but I think I did a pretty good job for 30 minutes for going through everything. So yeah, yeah, Blender's tough, but it makes it really easy. And I think some of those things that I've showed you right there will get you kind of going and on your way to making something pretty damn cool.